Becomes the better.
As far as you can. Hold for 3 seconds, all right? And then dorsiflex. Like, watch Shauna, watch how far. See, watch yours compared to mine. Ready? And go. Oh my God. This is a straight line. Straight line. Watch mine. Not a straight line. And I'm going to cramp, all right? Girls, it is I, Mr. Tony Horton, and I'm with the most incredible, amazing super wife of the world,
Shauna Horton.
She knew who she was. Anyway, this is what, number 6 already?
Week 6.
Time keeps on ticking, ticking into the future. Anyway, don't ask me ever to sing again. That was embarrassing.
Nobody asked you.
I don't know. I just volunteered because I do that. Why don't you sing? Because your voice is insane.
No.
You should do it.
No. I read questions.
Episode 8, it's coming. The big sing.
Don't count on it.
It's happening, baby.
Not a chance.
Happening. Anyway, we always start with our motivational story, and we get so many of them. It's so hard to pick. We had one earlier that was amazing. But this one's kind of short and sweet and to the point, and this comes from Brian from Nova Scotia. And he says, "Hey, Tony, in 2008, I left a toxic and abusive relationship, and I took my clothes, my car, and my kid with me. We had a rough year. She was 8, his daughter, and I decided to get us both into therapy. And after a few months, my therapist diagnosed me with PTSD, and I never thought of it in this kind of situation, but it made sense. I'd be in the bathtub with the water running, and I would hear screaming and yelling, and there was none. I had flashbacks and nightmare terrors. My therapist recommended that I start exercising to distract my mind at quiet times. And my coworker lent me a copy of P90X, which I later bought. Thank you for buying that, Brian, eventually. 5 months later, I lost 54 pounds, and
Wow.
I felt amazing. How about that,
That's
right?
Incredible.
I was 38 at the time and in the best shape of my life. I joined a hiking group and I met the true love of my life. How about that, man?
That.
A little P90X, that's the amazing thing. Like,
That's
one thing
sweet.
leads to another, right? I now have another 8-year-old daughter.
Aw.
And you don't know this story, huh? Do you know this story?
No.
Oh, well, Shauna picks them out, I pick them out, so I surprised her with this one. Now I have another 8-year-old daughter, and I'm starting P90X again for her, so I can keep up with her, LOL. All thanks to a little P90X distraction from my life. I guess he meant from his life at that time, so.
Definitely.
But,
What a nice story.
Yeah, man, Brian. Sorry I butchered it there a little bit at the beginning, but,
A good story nonetheless.
Nonetheless, but yeah, just amazing. Short, sweet, and incredible, so. There you have it.
Okay, well, our first question comes from Andy in San Francisco.
Andy from San Francisco. All right.
And Andy says, original P90X did great things for my strength and balance, but I notice now a distinct weakness in my left ankle, making half moon and other one-legged things super tough. Any suggestions for ankle rehab?
So we're right into the ankle one.
Right into the ankle.
Yeah, so I knew this
rehab.
one was coming, Andy. So I know a thing or two about that, but I want to do some little research. So I'm just going to basically read these off. I took some notes. I'm going to read them to you. And anybody else that has, this is for people who have foot issues and ankle issues and balance issues, and these kind of things help. So standing calf raises. So obviously this is more than just your ankles. This is your Achilles and calf, but hip bone's connected to the foot bone, so everything's connected. So here's one. So listen, stand with your feet hip distance apart, ideally at the edge of a step while holding onto the railing for balance. Maybe some of you don't have to do that. You can also do this standing on the floor next to a table or counter to hold on for balance there too. Raise your heels up so that you're standing on your tippity toes. Then lower your heels way down as far as you can. Repeat this 10 times and do this once or twice a day. So that would be one of the things that you would do. And here's another one. That one's really for building strength in the ankle, in the Achilles, and the calf. This one is just sort of range of motion. So, and you can do this one standing up or lying on your back. All right. So start, and this is called draw the alphabet. Right. So A, B, C.
I don't know if I can see your feet.
D.
There you go.
E, F, G. All right. I'm a G. I'm already exhausted. So, like I said, you can do this standing up or lying on your back. Start by lying on your back or standing next to a sturdy chair for support. Lift one leg and draw, flex your foot, and draw every letter of the alphabet with your toes. Repeat with the other foot. Do this once a day. So, what I would recommend is, you can do these throughout the day, but you probably don't have enough breaks in your day that you can do them, all over the place. So I would do these sort of in conjunction.
Maybe you could do those on your desk or something.
At your desk, at work, you know what I mean? Not while you're driving. I wouldn't recommend it. So this one is called stand on one foot. Stand next to a sturdy chair with your feet hip distance apart. Hold the chair for balance, or not if you don't need a chair, and lift one foot off the ground. Balance on that foot for 10 or 20 seconds. Put your foot back down, then repeat on the other side. You can do this 3 or 4 times, 10 seconds each. You're just sort of, letting all those proprioceptive muscles, that also affects the brain as
What
well.
are those, the little tiny ones?
Well, yeah. Basically, they're all the little ones that support the bigger ones.
Yeah.
All right, and so they're part of balance. That's why we have that slack line in the backyard. And with my vestibular stuff, that helps me a lot too. So there you go. Now here's another one. It's called flex and stretch. Lie on your back with your heels on the floor and your toes pointing toward the ceiling. Slowly point your toes as far away as you can. Like that, right? You see that?
That's the better.
As far as you can. Hold for 3 seconds, all right? And then dorsiflex. Like, watch how far. See, watch yours compared to mine. Ready? And go. Oh my God. This is a straight line. Straight line. Watch mine. Not a straight line. And I'm going to cramp, all right? So you're basically 10 seconds one direction, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, right? Back and forth. Going to give your ankles a lot of strength. Heel walks. This is a great one. This is the last one. If you have balance issues, hello, or are prone to falling, older folks, I'm not falling quite yet. I used to when I was sick. You may want to stand next to a long wall that you can hang onto for balance. While standing, lift the front of your feet off the floor by raising your toes so that you are standing on your heels and walk across the room. All right, you can do that once or twice a day. And you might want to do, like we have a long hallway here, what is it, about 40 feet? And when I had my...
I don't think it's that long.
You think so? I think it's 37 feet.
I always think distance is bigger.
I don't know. Don't we have like 80 acres here? I'm sorry, it's a half acre. I get confused. So, I was doing that for balance as well, and that's really great for strength. I wouldn't do that maybe in your bare feet. Put some slippers on that have good traction or good shoes. So, it was Andy, right?
That was Andy in San Francisco.
Andy in San Francisco. Try those. Awesome. I'm glad you asked that question because I was using those types of exercises when I was going through my rehab from Ramsay Hunt syndrome. But
Very true.
for weakness, that'll be great for you and anybody else that has similar issues. Also, hockey players, when you're in hockey skates and stuff like that, these are exercises that they do to strengthen their ankle when they're skating.
I haven't been ice skating in a long time. But
I haven't either.
After years and years and years going around the ice rink, and the next day,
what was killing you?
my ankles.
Really? Yeah, I bet.
You just don't
back
realize.
then, it was back in the 30s when you were a girl.
And our next question comes from Mark in Tennessee. From June 2016 to June 2017, I lost 169 pounds. Wow. Eating smart and doing a lot of P90X. Over the next 2 years, my workout schedule has changed twice, and I found myself gaining weight the opposite way I lost it. Gaining a few pounds here and there. I have my desire and focus back on track. I'm using my original P90X and have always wanted your advice on some things. I feel like we know each other, even though you've never heard of me or met me. The thing I struggle with most is Yoga X. I consider Yoga X my Everest, and I want to be able to master this workout. Part of my struggle is my size. I'm 6 foot and 310 pounds, and the other struggle I have with Yoga X is my flexibility or lack thereof. Should I substitute Yoga X until I'm a little smaller or more capable of doing the vinyasa and the harder poses? Or should I just continue to struggle and just keep working for improvements on this exercise? I don't even know if you'll read this, but if you do, I want to thank you for making this program. Sincerely, Mark.
I read it, Mark. We read it, Mark. And that's a great question. And so many really unique and different questions week to week, which is awesome. And I know there's a lot of you out here that are hearing this question and go, I can relate to that, And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, especially you boys, out there. Hey, dude, I don't want to do the yoga. I think it's stupid. I don't really get it. It's too hard for me. It's too hard for me. Oh my God, if that isn't the reason to do it. It's exactly the reason to do it. And Mark, that applies to you, dude. So yeah, you're 310 pounds and you're 6 foot tall. So you're about an inch taller than I am. And you're struggling with all of it, right? Because here's the awesome thing about yoga, whether you're good at it or not, right? So the goal is not to try to do it well, even the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 20th, 40th time. It's to be in the room and to be patient and to be present and to be in the moment and be okay with the fact that you can't do it well. You know what I mean? And even if you never do it well, even if you lose more weight and you get really good and really fit and yoga is still hard for you, there's a mindfulness practice there for you to understand the importance of being in the moment when you're struggling with something difficult. That is, I think, one of the key things to yoga. Initially, I was doing yoga because I wanted to be more flexible. I wanted a greater range of motion because I understood, having spent some time doing fitness, that as I get older, those things are important. But then, we forget about the strength component, and we forget about the balance component, and we especially don't even realize there's a mindfulness component to that thing. And there's not a whole lot, maybe running has a mindfulness component to it, right? It doesn't have, balance doesn't really come into play there. There is a little bit of strength, right? But that's what's amazing about yoga. Balance, range of motion, flexibility, strength, and mindfulness. 4 components. All you need is a mat. Don't even have to wear shoes. You can do it in your underwear. You know what I mean? You can do it anywhere, anytime. And that's what's really special about it. So Mark, my answer is this. You have to do it. I understand the struggle. Don't judge it, man. All you have to do is breathe and try to turn off your brain. And you're going to hold your breath at times, and sometimes your brain's going to be going, Brow. But that's perfectly okay, man. I just want you to get through it. And P90X is it's a 90-minute hatha flow session. It's nothing easy about that thing. But you modify when you can. And if you have to do one of the other ones, you can go on Beachbody On Demand. There's, I've got about 3 or 4 different ones. I have the Hummingbird, which is really great. Patience, and Shauna likes to do. Fountain of Youth. Shauna knows my entire inventory.
I love those two. Those are the one-on-ones. Those are my 2 favorites.
Yeah, with Mason back in the day. So you've got plenty of options, and there are other people like Rodney E on Guy MTV Fit and Yoga. He's really fantastic. If you went and did Next Level, there he is. He's on the same page. So check out Rodney. He's great. And then, of course, Ted McDonald and that crew from a 3-week yoga retreat. Those on BOD are also awesome. So throw in the variety, man. Don't use me all the time, even though I prefer it. Mark, bottom line, you got to do the yoga no matter what, no matter how brutal it is. So that's a great question, and that also applies to everybody else who struggles with this thing.
Except for he fibbed a little bit. The reason he really got into yoga is for the chicks. Then it was for the flexibility.
A little bit. Yeah, because I look in there and I go, there's no dudes in there, it's all women. They're all beautiful. I'm going. Then I met you, and then I don't have to do that anymore.
That's right. Okay, thank you for the question, Mark. Next one comes from Joel A, and he does not tell us where he's from.
Joel is from East Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Northeast. I think he's northeast.
Oh, all right, even better.
I don't know where that is.
But Joel has some questions about supplements. He says, in the big picture, you talked about creatine as a supplement that you trust. I started taking it and have had solid results, so thank you. Recently, I've heard of people taking HMB as a supplement for building muscles. Some have said it works better than creatine. Anyways, I was wondering if you have any opinions on this or if you recommend HMB as a supplement. I appreciate you, Tony, and in the meantime, I'll keep doing my best and forgetting the rest.
Oh, and what was his name?
That was Joel.
Joel. Hey, Joel, how are you? Great question. It's almost like I wonder if I have an answer to that. So here's what's great, man. I mean, I've been using creatine for a long time. I'll never forget the first time I ever took it. I was on a movie up in Canada, in Campbell River, British Columbia, and I was trying it for the first time. So you do a loading phase for about a week, and then you don't have to after a while. And so I was in the loading phase and taking creatine, and I felt like Superman. I was like, I'm doing push-ups and going, I wonder when these are going to get hard. 88, 89, 99. It was kind of crazy. But like anything, if you abuse it and you overuse it, there's a point of no return. And one thing about creatine is, there are studies that say your liver and kidneys aren't a fan of abuse of creatine. So you have to be really, really careful there. You have to do it in sort of these cycles. You can't be kind of doing it all the time forever and ever. At least that was my experience. It might be different for other people, and you guys and gals might have another opinion about it. And so now, I'm using creatine sparingly, but when I was working with a company that helps me with Power Life, you know, we got these two protein powders, high impact plant protein and high impact whey protein, both chocolate and vanilla both, and they all have HMB in them. But the HMB works really well in conjunction with the other ingredients that are in those products. So of course there's the BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, the chromium, the vitamin D, and the HMBs. So I don't know what your source of HMB is, if you're just taking it separately and then maybe mixing it with other things. But, you know, I'm not here to do a Power Life advertisement, but I can tell you that my neighbor across the street, Anna, is out of her mind. Scott Morgan's out of his mind. We had an entertainment a guy.
Yeah, he was and what did he say? A TV personality?
Yeah.
Something. He does
interviews
people.
big personalities, I guess. So we're getting some amazing feedback about the high impact plant proteins and the whey proteins. And so if the HMB you're taking, or maybe you haven't quite tried it yet, and it's working for you and you notice a difference and you're using that in conjunction with the creatine and you're not having any sort of cramping, that's another thing about creatine. You know, you
used to get cramps.
Oh my God. See, what happens is when you take creatine, you have to stay hydrated. You have to drink more water than you're used to drinking, right? And I wouldn't. I'm not a water drinker. I drink when I'm thirsty. So, you know, based on my blood work, I've had to be more consistent with it. Shauna put alarms on my phone so I know when to drink water. Holy crap, right? So, you know, now I don't have the cramping as often. So be careful with creatine that way. So like you got kidney, you got kidney stuff and liver stuff with too much creatine, and lack of water creates cramping. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night and hit the ceiling. Shauna knows.
Oh yeah.
And I'd land right on top of her.
Legs straight up in the air, screaming, "Help me!
Help me! Help me!" Trying to dorsiflex the calves, and it was no adductors. Everything was lighting up. So. The HMB and the combination in Power Life is awesome. We did tons and tons of research to make sure that all those ingredients work really, really well together, so the HMB had an effect. You know what I mean? And so, especially as you get older, like I'm 62, so people my age, anybody from 50 on, can and will probably suffer from something called sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. I talk about it in the infomercial and stuff. And look, it's really hard for old folks to maintain muscle mass. And I'm going strong because of, sporadic uses of creatine and the consistent use of Power Life's protein powders. So check them out, mypowerlife.com. If you haven't already kind of kicked into something that you like. And check out the Power Life stuff. It's really good.
And then we also just found out today that there's a specific amount that all the studies were based on as well. So
that's
another factor.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you can drink water, but if you don't drink enough, you're not going to be hydrated, right? If you have digestive issues and somebody tells you you need more fiber, well, if you're not getting enough fiber or the right kind of fiber or water soluble fiber or whatever it is that you need, then it's not going to work. Like, oh, it didn't work for me because you didn't take enough. You know what I mean? And you don't want to abuse this stuff either. You don't want to 1, 2, 3, 4 scoops. That's insane too. That doesn't work. It'll just go right out the other end.
Don't want that.
Simply put.
Okay, really good question. Next one comes from Colin, and again, we don't know where Colin is from.
Oh.
Gotta tell us where you're from.
He's probably from Long Island. He's from Long Island. He's probably from.
No, Colin. He's from Idaho.
He's from Mexico. Colin from Mexico.
Okay. Hey, Tony. First, a long story, a thank you, then a question. My journey started almost 10 years ago. I had a massive panic attack, and I thought it was a heart attack in my early 20s. I wasn't active. I was eating a bag of chips every day, drinking 2 liters of soda pop every day, and was almost 250 pounds.
Wow.
I started out just walking, and then after a few months, I began running. This caused my joints to be really sore. So I searched out for some yoga and came across P90X yoga, and I haven't looked back since. Over the past...
He should probably talk to them.
I know, I was just
together.
thinking about that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize these two were on the same week.
Hook them guys up on a phone call.
Over the past 3-ish years, I've had 3 back injuries that caused me to not be able to move. Oh, I can relate to that.
I know that deal.
I've never gotten an x-ray, but it all feels muscle related. I also have extreme tightness in my thighs and hips, as well as weak low back and glutes, which makes me think it's my psoas muscle. I added your one-on-one workouts, button belly, and Pilates from X3 to my X2 calendar. Does this sound good? And how would you suggest to prevent this from happening again? I love you, and thanks again for everything.
It's an interesting story and question because, here is somebody who's doing P90X and he's still got all this tightness and back issues, but he has injuries. So I don't know what the source of those injuries are. And, I don't want to give you the patent answer, but it might not just be muscular. It might be something other than that. You might have some bulging discs or some issues, because here's the thing about bulging discs, and same thing with Shauna. Sometimes for you, it's hard to discern one from the other. You can't tell if it's muscular.
What happens is, with a bulging disc, if the disc is bulging and it's pushing against your spinal cord, your body immediately knows that's a vulnerability. So when that starts to get irritated and inflamed, that nerve gets inflamed, immediately your muscles will lock up and tighten and they'll go into spasm. So it's
to protect that area.
Exactly, to protect you from doing any more harm to what it thinks could be, potential paralysis if it was to get really bad.
But the human body's kind of amazing like that. So here's something that's going wrong, and other parts of the body around it, will throw some pain at you, inflammation at you, to say, no, we don't want you doing anything.
Like that.
You know what I mean? So, it might not be bad to go see an orthopedic person and maybe get an MRI, get an X-ray.
Somebody who specializes in that.
In that kind of thing. Because, sitting here in a chair, not really knowing you, seeing your range of motion, it's a and we were wondering whether we should answer this question, because, I want to be able to give you answers. And sometimes the answer is you have to go to a new source. And, what I can tell you, though, is there are things that you can do with foam rolling. You can do, getting in an Epsom salt bath, sometimes getting in an ice bath. This is all inflammation. But if a disc is someplace where it's not supposed to be, all the foam rolling in the world, all the ice baths, all the the infrared saunas, whatever else, just won't be enough. So, we've got a great physical therapist, this gal Holly that we see here in town. And ask around. I don't know if you're in a big city or small, and especially with the pandemic, a lot of people aren't operating right now. But see if you can find somebody who can at least feel around back there to see what's going on, and then maybe you need to go see a orthopedic person who can set you up with with X-ray or.
And I hate to say it, this could end up being a really long journey, because if it's not a disc issue and if it's not something like that, and foam rolling maybe helps once in a while, but it's not the answer. You might also have to look into inflammation, and if there's something you're eating or drinking or doing that's causing inflammation. So, but I will say, be persistent, because it took
She's been
8 years of trying to find the right people and the right combination of things, and it's night and day now from where I started.
And the last thing I want to say that might help you as well is there's a likelihood that you have some asymmetry in your body, right? So you have your anterior chain and your posterior chain, the back side and the front side, right? So, you need balance front to back, especially as you get older. I mean, when you're younger, you can get away with imbalances, right? Because you're young. But as you get older, it reminds you that, maybe your psoas is out of whack, your IT band is too tight, or your hip flexors are part of the problem, or you don't have enough strength and muscularity in your glutes, or maybe your low back is vulnerable because it's weaker than your thoracic part of your back. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why. I mean, when she goes to see Holly, when I go to see Holly, she gives us these rehab exercises with bands and all kinds of different things, so that we can get more symmetry in our whole body, so that if we just turn funny, our back's not going to go
and to
out.
get the right muscles firing. Turns out my knee problems were because my glutes and my hamstrings weren't firing at the proper times when I was doing certain exercises, which was putting too much load on my knee. So.
And you know what we should do? Let's do this.
We should get Holly.
No, we should get Holly to fly in and come see you. We're gonna hook you up maybe with an interview with Steve Holmson, our friend Steve Holmson.
Great idea.
Who is he can get people out of pain, and that's what he does. And I think even over a Zoom call we can do that. So we'll try to do that for you. Steve's great. He's been here. He spoke at Paragon last time. He's amazing.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Okay. This one comes. We know where he comes from. This is from Bobby in Fresno, California.
Fresno, up the street.
Woohoo! He says, "Hi Tony. Quarantine has stranded my high school swimmer daughter without access to a pool. As of now, her team could be on hiatus until next year. She has started doing P90X3 with me, but do you have any other ideas for how to keep her swimming gains while being a fish out of water, so to speak? Thanks for all you do. Stay safe and stay well."
That's easy. P90X2. P90X2. I mean, I can't think of any other way to get your daughter in the best shape of her life before she gets back in the pool again. I mean, X3 is great. You guys are doing that together. You got the camaraderie, mother-daughter. That's really awesome. But
father-daughter. Or maybe, I don't know, Bobby. Bobby could go either way.
Bobby, Yeah, it could be. Yeah, either one. Parent daughter.
There you go.
There you go. So play it safe. Seriously, it's time for your daughter to start with X2. That's a whole new ball game. I can tell you a dozen stories of people who were in pretty good shape. You know what I mean? Doing pretty well. They finally jumped into X2, and it was a fitness education for them. I was in Jackson Hole one time, and this woman came up to me and said, "You know, we were a Division III soccer team. We were okay. Actually, they weren't very good at all. They all did P90X, just the original P90X. This is before X2, and we destroyed everybody that following season, just from doing P90X. They were all addicted to plyo, which is crazy, and yoga." Plyo, yoga, and Abra X, 3 of the hardest things. That coach made them do it. They did all of it. They did chest and back and shoulders and arms and everything. But X2, I can tell you a professional soccer coach came up to me and said, I had all kinds of physical injuries. I was very asymmetric in my strength, and I started doing P90X, and everything lined up, especially that post-activation potentiation, stuff like that will help your daughter swim like a dolphin.
And it's amazing. So I knew 2 barrel racers. So they ride horses, right, around barrels for the fastest time. P90X2 knocked time off their barrel racing. I mean, so clearly it doesn't matter what kind of sport you're in. It helps.
X2.
There you go.